can give a little bit, you know?
I mean, I just watched Page 6 and their fucking rant, and they told all of the tea from behind the scenes.
Ready? Hey, everyone, and welcome back to Hot and Messy Podcast. We are your hosts, Jason and
Adam Newell. Hi, guys.
Adam Newell and Jason Barron back again.
Adam Newell. No, this is my tired voice because I'm not going to lie. This whole episode is dedicated to our experience at BravoCon. And we took BravoCon, but BravoCon kicked our asses.
We are exhausted. And I have to say, before we get into this, let's say we're doing something a little different today because we are putting this full episode up on video as well a little later this week. But if you've listened to it, you know, you can go check our video. We're going to post some photos and videos as well with it. So that will be fun. We are at youtube.com/hot messy podcast. So we're kind of recording this live, but not really.
Yes, exactly. And wow, I just don't even know where to begin. Like this was
Me neither.
This was an incredible experience. So positive. I had 3 awkward run-ins that I have to share with you guys. But for the most part, we had an experience that just felt like pandemonium. It was
let's start kind of at the beginning, because remember, we were invited with press passes. Those press passes later got revoked. I'm sure it had to do with the Jen Shaw interview, if I'm, being honest. And we actually decided to go. I actually worked it, and that was a lot of fun. And this whole experience, something that we thought wasn't going to be great, and we were like, why would people go? Why would people pay the money? Stuff like that. It actually turned out to be epic in every way, shape, or form. This was one of the best weekends we've had, like, almost all year.
I have to say, too, I think it was honestly because of Emily D. Baker, the #1 legal badass commentator on YouTube. I called her because Jason and I were talking to one of the housewives, and they said that they needed somebody to kind of help out with the booth or whatever the case was. And it's just a way to get in, right? Now that we originally thought we were going, our passes were taken away. And then if you want to go, you have to pay, right? So this was like, oh, you don't have to pay. Just come over and play at the booth. Okay, cool. So I called Emily and I said, are you going? And she said, I'm absolutely going. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And she's like, you don't have a choice. You're going. And I was like, done. Let's go.
We have to go. I mean, these are the situations. These are the people you want to be around. This is what we cover all the time. Now, I mean, listen, we're friends with Caroline Stanbury for a while now. So when she said, hey, I need help with my booth, I'm coming from Dubai, please, can you help us out? I jumped on it. I was like, we got it. My cousin and I are going to come work your booth for you. We'll set it up. We'll make it look cute. And we'll just have a good time. And those experiences, these memories that we just had this weekend are going to be there forever. They're going to live forever in a part of my brain where I can like recap them every now and then.
And at first I didn't really want to say, only because, like for what we do on YouTube and the interviews and the people that we speak with, I never want it to come off like biased or we're hanging out with certain people, so then we're only talking positive about certain people, because I think everybody deserves a fair shot. But when it came out on E! News that we were at lunch and this was the first day, so let's just kind of rewind for a second. Jason and I arrived into New York around the same time as his cousin, who came in from Chicago, his cousin Jackie, who was helping him with the booth. This was on Thursday. Now on Thursday, since BravoCon started Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, on Thursday, everybody who had a booth had to show up, set up your booth, make sure all of the merch and stuff is out. So we head over and we go to the Javits Center and we show up and my phone is going off the hook. And I have Derek Sagami from NBC, Reality with Derek Z. I have him saying to me, he's like, where are you? Your plate, like there's a plate right here for you. And I was like, the fuck? I didn't know that I was supposed to be somewhere. Like, is my schedule that, what are you talking about? And then I get messages from some of the housewives and they're like, hello, we're at this restaurant right down the street. Where are you? Get here now. So I said to Jason, I was like, I'm going to go. And I looked so ridiculous. I looked like I had biker shorts on and we just got off of a plane. I look like death. And I show up and it's just a table of like housewives nonchalantly, just all of them. I'm like, you guys set me up for failure. But it was on E! News after that. And I'm like, great, there's my biker shorts, my
You look like what did Caroline call you, a soul cycle instructor?
She was so funny, you guys, because she said to me, she's like, listen, she's like, Adam, just show up. It doesn't matter what you look like. She's like, listen, darling, just show up. And I was like, it does matter what I look like, but okay. And then I show up and then we're hanging out, and I guess everybody just gets comfortable, right? And then finally she looks at me and she's like, oh my God, everybody look at him. He looks like a soul cycle instructor. And then she had these boots on, these big white boots. And it was like an hour later, I was like, what are you going to ride a horse in those? And she's like, not verbatim, but like looked at me like, bitch, that took you an hour. You got to get better than that if you're going to be in this world. I started laughing, but
Adam can never be a housewife.
I can never be a housewife. But so fast forward to that night, right? What happened after that?
It's such a blur. Okay. It's such a blur because we were there with some of the Dubai ladies and Meredith, and we had such a great time. Like this is crazy. And I'm going to get into this a little bit when we start talking about more of BravoCon. But
Well, let's go day by
after,
day, right?
afterwards, we went to dinner at our favorite spot for a very long time, Joe Allen.
Oh,
We met up with
yes.
Emily D. Baker, some of our New York friends. My cousin was there. We had a great conversation. And then I found out I needed to be at the Javits Center at like the crack ass of dawn to set this booth up, and make it look cute. And I was like, well, I can't disappoint because I said I would do this, so I have to do it. And
Jason doesn't do half-ass anything.
we did bow out. My cousin and I were like, I need sleep. That was a long day already. Flying in, having lunch slash we were drinking at Joe Allen and having a great time. It's like, okay, day one of BravoCon. I need to go home and rest.
Right. And I just stayed out with our friends for, I think I was out only like another hour than
Yeah.
later than you were. So that was like kind of a wrap on our first day. But then after that, let's cue day two. I wake up, there's no Jason, there's no Jackie. I slept in a little bit longer, and Jason and Jackie end up going because they had to be at the Javits Center at like 7:30. So I call Emily and I'm like, hey, what time do you want to go? She said like 11 o'clock. She had an interview or something that she had to do at like 10:30. So her hotel was just like two or three down from us. And I went to go meet up with her. And then this is where the chaos like began. Emily and I went to BravoCon. We were walking around and it was pandemonium. Like I thought Emily was Bravo talent. She is at this point. She is because she's walking around and we're walking through. And of course, you notice her. She has purple hair and she is one of those people. She's always smiling and she kind of lights up a room, right? So we're walking through and you hear Emily like screaming, Emily D. Baker, I fucking love you. And then people, there was one guy who was like wasted, but like, I'm gonna cry. And it's like, this is what is happening. So it was just fun because all of our, and Emily kept saying this is all of our people. Because even though the podcast, and I don't even know if we're going to live by this anymore. We want this podcast to be about arts and everything in between and sometimes deviate away from Bravo. That
It
was the
is,
whole
though.
point.
It is. I mean, we talk about Bravo, but that is part of what we do. And Bravo is so intertwined in the entertainment world, anyways. We're not gonna like
We can't like leave it
we
behind the
can't ignore
curtain.
it.
Yeah, we can't
Yeah, we're
ignore it.
gonna run into it.
We have to own it. No.
We have to
And then
own it.
on my way over to go see Emily, I get a photo from Jason and he's like, guess who I just ran into? And I was like, oh shit. Okay. So
The
I go,
first person, the first person I saw at BravoCon, or that actually saw me, was Kempire. And
yes,
he's like, hey, you. And I was like, oh, in person.
we've never met him.
We have worked with him for so long. I mean, more you, Adam, like for plus years or 2 years. I don't even know at this point.
I don't
And when
know.
I saw him, I was like, this is so surreal. It's so surreal to see people in real life.
Like to see their legs and everything that's not just a torso and a floating head. Like that's because we're like essentially floating heads on
We're
here,
just
right?
floating heads.
We're,
That's all we are.
we're just so when you see people's like body and them interacting in person and how they walk and their posture, it's more weird to interact with people in person. And so Kempire and I were missing each other that whole day. We didn't even see each other. And you're like, you have to go find him. And so we're running around. And the first day of BravoCon, I'm not going to lie, was a shit show. Emily and I find ourselves at the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills panel. This was the same panel that everybody was talking about because Lisa Rinna walked out and literally got booed, the loudest boo I've ever heard. But there were people who were also praising her and applauding her. Guys, it was compared to the Fire Festival. And when I say crazy, unorganized, no crowd control. That's exactly what it was. And you could see people were running in, people were stomping all over each other, people were like pushing each other out of the way.
Running over all the stanchions. It was insane.
They
And I
just
wasn't even where you were.
know. And what happened, Jason and Emily and I watched this, there was an organized line that looked like people said they were standing in it for 2 hours. As soon as they started letting people through the doors, for some reason, a lot of the crowd, they knocked down, what are they called? Stanchions?
Stanchions, yeah.
Stanchions. They knocked down the stanchions and started storming through the curtains and just like flying in. It was bizarre. It was the most ridiculous thing ever. So we sat there and watched that. And then Emily and I were running around. And then we found ourselves in the VIP parties at BravoCon. So then I got addicted. I was just like, oh, all of it's like a concert, right? Like everybody's waiting. And then you have the curtains or whatever, and you know that the talent is behind the scenes and they're waiting for their time to come out. So they're either eating, drinking, hanging out with other talent. And once Emily went and I went in there and everyone knew us, and I'm not trying to say like boasting myself, but we knew all of the housewives and all of the people for the most part. So we were just walking up to them and having fun. I was like, oh, I can't go back out to regular BravoCon because this is amazing.
This
This
is
is
a different
amazing.
kind of BravoCon.
This is a different experience.
I do have to say though, I was talking with someone about this. Day 2 and 3, they did a really good job of keeping things organized, clearing
Mhm.
rooms out. The panels were a lot, more structured, security wise, because it did feel dangerous that first day because like no one knew what they were supposed to do, and it was just kind of a free for all.
You know what else I found funny too? So for those of you who don't know, the Gansevoort is a hotel in the meatpacking district, and Bravo booked out this entire hotel for all of their talent because they said that they want everyone to stay there, something to the effect of because it makes it more safe, which I would have thought it wouldn't make it more safe. I would have thought that would make it more of like a target for people who, if somebody was to be crazy, right? So everyone's staying at the Gansevoort, which was really funny to hear from some of the Bravo talent because some were like, "This is amazing," and others were like, "There's no fucking way I'm staying here at the
Well,
Gansevoort."
some housewives, I'm not going to say who, walked
Left,
into their room and walked straight out and booked a different hotel.
lost a lot of money and just booked different hotels. They're like, "There's no way." So the second night that we're there, which is technically this is Friday, the first day of BravoCon, we're all hanging out. And then after BravoCon, what happened next, Jason?
You know what's so funny is I can't remember anything.
I went to watch What Happens Live.
You went to watch What Happens Live. Okay, so my first day though, I'm doing the booth and everything. Like it is what it is. It was fun. Actually, had a great time because the booth next to us was Candy's booth, and on the other side was Gertie's and Karen Huger's booth. And Karen Huger was making appearances the whole time in her
She
chair.
worked.
She did work. She did get a little social media pushback though because they were charging for photos.
Mm-hmm.
With Karen, or her team was charging for photos, like you have to Cash App or Venmo or something like that. But then you have all the other housewives, like Caroline coming over to the booth and stuff. She wouldn't charge anyone. She was like, if you want to take a photo, I can't force you to buy anything. Like it was great. But I feel like all of the housewives were just like very, how do you say it? They were very approachable.
Yeah, I went up to, so Kempire and I backstage walked up to Karen and I said, I have to introduce myself and I have to tell you really quick, this, what you did, Karen was the only person who put like a director's chair in front of her booth. And she just sat in that chair and she's like, I am not standing on my feet all day. I am going to sit here. I will sit here for 3 hours and say hi to everybody. And she did not move from that chair. And I was like, this is genius. And she's like, oh, thank you. And Kempire and I took a photo with her that we'll post. But after that night, so Emily had tickets to watch What Happens Live, and I had tickets to the first Watch What Happens Live. And so we went in and I ran into James Kennedy and all the Vanderpump Rules people because everyone knows who knows us that we worked with them and yada, yada. So I see everybody lining up at the Manhattan Center, I think. And right, is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think it's the Manhattan Center. I don't know if it's the Hammerstein Ballroom. Is it the same place? I'm not sure. It's on 34th.
I don't know, but there's 8 floors. Okay. So the first 2 floors has everybody who bought tickets and they're getting ready and it's the crowd, right? So they're getting ready and they're filming or they're filling all of the seats. Then You go to the elevator, and this is where the real party is. You go to the eighth floor, and it's all of the housewives, all of the talent, everybody. There's hors d'oeuvres passed around, there's open bars. It's like, so Emily said, I'm going to go find my seat. And I was like, damn right you are. We're going up to the eighth floor. And she's like, wow, this is a little different. So we're sitting up there and it was fun to watch. You get to see everything. They called most of the talent down. So people were coming and going. And I'm sitting there and I was talking to Emily Simpson from Real Housewives of Orange County because both Emilys are friends and they talk to each other. And all of a sudden, Teresa Giudice walks over to talk to Emily. And I introduced myself and I said, hi. She was so sweet. And then that's when like the chaos ensued. It was one after another because it was such a tight space. I walked up to Garcelle. We had a full conversation. I walked up and I was talking with Kathy Hilton. I saw Teddy Mellencamp and we talked about my comments of calling her boring, but also being good on the podcast, but also being really messy. It just, I came home with all of these stories. Oh, Captain Sandy and her wife, we're going to have them eventually one day. Well, we hope so. That's the goal. You never want to say you're going to have somebody on for an interview until you have it, because it's like, don't count your chickens before they hatch, I think. But we're walking and I was talking to Emily and we're just talking to all of these random people, Larsa Pippen, Lala Kent. And then all of a sudden I see Chris Bassett and I was like, oh, Chris.
And
If
for
you guys,
those of you who don't remember, there
yes,
was a big Twitter feud between Chris and Adam, because I think what happened was you did an interview with Candace. It was a great interview, but then you did an interview with Monique. And I think that kind of pissed her off. But you also, I think, called her out for some things too.
yes. So, and we talked about this. Because in my interview, I asked her about cancel culture and, the Vanderpump Rules cast being canceled, some of them. And I said, what do you think? And she said, yes, they should be. And then tweets of hers surfaced. So I did a video about it and it wasn't in Candace's favor. So then when I did my Fallon interview, Chris went on Twitter and said, listen, Fallon, I'm so happy for you that you did an interview. I wish you just wouldn't have done it with this fake fraudulent fuck. And I was like,
God.
shots fired, right? So then it rolls on, it keeps going. Then
Well, I mean,
Candace
you
is
want to
involved.
defend your brand too. You know,
Yeah.
you're not you
Normally I stay
have
silent and I don't engage.
no, you shouldn't, right? Because everything that we've tried to build to has been based around positivity and kind of keeping it light and not so dramatic and not so whatever. But sometimes you do have to stand up for yourself and you have to say, you know what, that's not right. Not when he says, says he's going to punch you in the face,
Well,
on
it was almost
Twitter.
my way of saying too, for anybody, I don't engage, but you don't want me to engage. And I'm not saying like building myself up or anything, but I can play with you guys too. And I don't like to be that person. The whole platform is based off of positivity and really trying to understand each other. So I reached out to him on Twitter and then this just spiraled out of control and everybody said things that they shouldn't have. So he said like, I'll punch you in the face, something. So I walk up to him and I was like, hi. And Emily's like, don't go, don't go, don't go. And I was like, no, I have to get this out of the way. And I walk up and I was like, hi, do you know me? And he's like, yeah, you're Adam. And I was like, yeah. And I said, I just want to say, I know that last time we spoke, you said that you said things, I said things, Candace said things. I want to squash that. And I want to apologize for any wrongdoing on my part. Do you accept it? Pretty much. Do you accept my apology? And then he apologized back and said, listen, it got out of control. And I was like, oh, okay, this kind of, how like when you have a weight off your shoulders. So then we're leaving. Everybody's leaving. Watch What Happens Live because the show ends. And you have Sprinter vans, a line of them. And they're all picking up all of the housewives, all the Bravo talent. So we're getting ushered out, right? As we are, it's me and Emily. And there's Shannon Bedore, Lisa Rinna, everybody's there. And they keep you in sort of like a hallway before you go out there because there's a ton of paparazzi. And so Emily and I get ushered onto this van, the Sprinter van, and we're on with Kenya, Cynthia, Shannon Bedore, Margaret Josephs, and other people too. I like PAs and talent. So I'm sitting there talking to Kenya about Dancing with the Stars, and she loved it. We were living for it. And I said to Cynthia, I was like, I saw the divorce announcement and I'm going to find you. I said, you got me into my very first Mariah Carey after party. in Beverly Hills, and she didn't, I don't think she remembered it, but I was like, in Beverly Hills, and you were the sweetest ever. So now it's my mission. I'm going back to Palm Beach County and I am finding you a new man. And she's like, she's like, I don't want a new man right now. So go ahead, interject here.
Oh, I no, I'm just listening to the story because I thought it was so it was
Oh,
so
it
funny.
would,
I just can't believe you ended up in a Sprinter van with Shannon Bedore and Margaret. I mean, we know Margaret, but
that was the
crazy.
first night. The second night I was in with a totally different slew of people. But so then we get to the Gansevoort and everybody's going up to the top. I think I went back to Caroline Brooks, and I was hanging out with her because a lot of the people were just changing, right? Because they were in their like outfits and gowns and they were staying at that hotel.
Right,
So
right.
I went and met up. I went with Caroline and then we went up to the party and Emily was up there already talking with everyone. There's Andy Cohen, there's everybody there. I mean, every single person, it was for the talent, this party. There's boxes of pizza. This was the party that Jen Shaw was at, that everybody started running wild with these speculations. And I cleared this up a little bit on my YouTube channel because they there were rumors Jen Shaw crashed this party that she wasn't invited to, which was not true. She was originally brought on to come to BravoCon, and she's already addressed this publicly, but she was originally invited, and then she changed her plea around the same time that they were announcing the lineup, and they removed her name. But after that, she still had tickets, she still had access, she still had everything. So she showed up, right? So I was talking with Jen a little bit, talking to Tamra, and I come in and Emily's like just working the hell out of the room. And then I just made my rounds. And finally, here's Candace. And I was like, oh shit. And
Oh
Emily's
shit.
like, no, no, no. She tried. She could not stop me. I was unstoppable. I told her, I said, I'm on the apology tour. I'm fixing everything. And I walk up to Candace and I just told her how I felt about everything. And I apologized for my part. And she was like, listen, I think it takes balls. It takes balls to come up and I accept your apology. Thank you. So then I'm over and I work my way over to the pizza because I was like, who doesn't want a slice of cheese pizza? So
Right. So
I'm
housewives just alcohol and pizza.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what they get at the Bravo party.
and sliders, hot chicken sliders. Um, so then I see
All things that we
Brooks.
don't see them eat on television.
Right. I mean, the
Right.
pizza was
Okay.
good, but then I see Brooks, and this is Brooks Marks, and I start talking to him, and there's this guy that comes over who's like harassing us. And the guy like comes over and he starts talking to both of us and he starts like rubbing all up on, everybody and just he was very out of it. I don't want to assume what influence he was under, but just out of it. And I got in this weird kind of, I don't know Brooks Marks, but I saw a very uncomfortable situation. And originally he was talking to Gia Judice. And then he walked away and I was talking with him. Then that's when this creeper guy came over and Meredith happened to be passing. And I grabbed Meredith and I was like, you gotta get this guy away because it's not my job. But then, he's clearly uncomfortable. And that's where it sparked this great conversation where hopefully now I told Brooks, I said, I defended you and now you have to do my podcast. And he started laughing. And then we end up continuing to work the room. And I was talking to Raquel and talking to Tom Schwartz and everybody like that. And I think I got home that night. What time did I get home? At 5 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. I remember because I had to skip out. Jackie and I were so tired from this like day at BravoCon. We were like, I think we'll just low key hang out, go to dinner.
Yeah. So that's exactly what they did. They went to bed at like 11. I come strolling in at like 5 o'clock in the morning. So then cue to the next day at BravoCon. Now we've hit Saturday. So we go in Saturday. Jason's working the booth. And this is where, did I run into Kimpire on Saturday or Sunday?
I can't remember. This whole experience is mind blowing. Like I'm going to my photos right now just to see if I can skew together kind of what happened on every day. Saturday. What was Saturday like?
I
See, I
don't
don't even know.
see.
I
Okay.
don't
So
even know.
Saturday, I was running around with Emily. Oh, we were doing a lot of like hanging out with everybody backstage. We met Larsa Pippen. We met Marcus Jordan, Michael Jordan's son. So many people. I had three very awkward encounters. I walked up to one person who I thought was an acquaintance, somebody who I've met over the years multiple times. And I walked up and I was like, "Hi, it's so good to see you." And he's like, "You talk shit about me on your channel." And I said, "I talk shit about you." And he said, "Yes. You said that my
Well,
brand, the only people that I give free things to are celebrities." I'm going to leave it at that, and people can piece it together if they want. But
yeah,
the
I
only,
mean, just maybe Vanderpump Rules. There's
yeah,
another hint because you know what's so funny? It's like, but you're not a housewife.
yeah.
Like, I don't know who you are,
I
and
mean, I'm kind of a housewife, but yeah.
not
No.
you, but I'm talking about this person. It's like
Oh,
you
yeah.
talk bad about me on your channel. We never talked bad about you on your channel or
I
bad
said
about
that you give away shit to celebrities because that's fucking how it works anyways. Like if you have a big brand, it's almost like an influencer. You're giving the free shit to the people who can get the message out there more. They have a broader scope of reach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I at that point in my mind, I was just like, this is fucking ridiculous. I'm not even
Well, I just want to kind of
engaging.
tell you what BravoCon is like for anybody who's ever thinking about going. I'm gonna say do it. Is it worth like I don't know what those big VIP tickets were, $3,000 for 3 days to go to everything? No. I promise you, it's definitely not worth that. However, it's such an interesting experience because you actually interact with a lot of the talent. And even if you're not going to the panels or you don't get the big VIP ticket, there is a big stage in the main area. Those are free. You can see all the talent all day. I mean, Kathy Hilton did that free stage, and there's great lounges and bars. There was a below deck bar. There was a family karma lounge.
Oh,
Uh,
Saturday was the below deck party.
yes, yes. But
That's what it
then
was.
every housewife that wants to has a booth or a store where they make appearances throughout the day, every single day, and where you can purchase their products or any kind of merch they have, meet people. But the energy was really nice. And this is something I have to admit because sometimes I go on Bravo like hard, but this was a great experience. You saw a lot of people just come together. It's like going to Comic Con. People who like comics, they're going to come to Comic Con. People who like Bravo, they come together. They get to interact, chat. We made so many new friends. We saw a lot of people we've never met before, like Kempire. We got to hang out with other creators like Emily D. Baker. In fact, she said something that was really, really interesting that I think they should implement next year. They should have a content creators lounge, a
Yes.
place where the talent can come in and like do interviews, talk, a place where people who watch these creators can go to also, I think, and content create in this space. I think that would be amazing for people because sometimes people access these things through their favorite content creator.
I mean, almost every content creator that I know that's affiliated in some way with the work that they put out is Bravo focused was literally there. And it was like, I'm walking past and there's faces by Bravo. There's Bravo, King Bravo walking over here. We have the Bravo
The
docket
the
passing
Bravo
us over
doc,
here.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
everybody was there. So I do agree with her. I think that there should be a content creator lounge, but then really, honestly, the lounges are called like they had an SVIP lounge, but then they had like these green rooms. And the green rooms are like where you go and there's food and drinks and everybody's just hanging out there anyways. So we just went and we were hanging out. It wasn't a designated content creator lounge. It was just talent lounges. But I thought it was still, yes, I agree with you, Emily. We need a content creator
Yeah,
lounge.
she's on to something there.
She's
She's
on
on
to
it.
something.
Saturday was one of my favorite days because Nina Ali, who I really do love on The Real Housewives of Dubai, came out to Caroline's booth and introduced herself to me, which made me feel like a freaking star. Okay. She came out. I just wanted to introduce myself to you. I watched you and Adam, and it was really nice. So thanks,
She's so
Nina. It made me
beautiful.
so happy. She's so beautiful. I'm gonna put a photo up right now for the visual for YouTube. But it was such an interesting experience. And it's funny, you think these housewives are literally just doing nothing. They make appearances and it's easy. When you are backstage and you see the process of going to the green room, getting ready to do the panel, then right after the panel, you have to go make an appearance at your booth. And after that, you have to show up at this photo op. Then you need to go to another location for this other appearance you're making on Watch What Happens Live. It doesn't stop. So if I'm tired from like standing on my feet all day, I can only imagine how they feel, especially when their glam starts at like, I don't know,
8
crack
a.m.
ass of dawn.
Yeah,
It's insane. But I watched so many housewives hustle.
right.
Karen Huger, Candy, they came out to their booths. They were helping everyone sell merch. They were
Gina
making
K.
Yeah, every like Gina K
Phaedra,
was working, showing you her product. Candy had, I mean, listen, some very X-rated products next to us, which was
she
really
had
funny.
bedroom candy in the
She
house.
had bedroom candy in the house. It was amazing. Um, it was interesting to watch. The Karen they put times for the ladies to come out, and they would stay there for maybe like 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. But Caroline came out with Sergio, and they just worked the booth and taking photos and selling merch. And she would ask, "Well, how long do we have?" And the PR lady would be like, "Well, 45 minutes is what we kind of had." She's like, "No, no, no, no. I can do another hour." I'm like, another hour of photos and merch and saying hi to people. I think it's
It
so
sounds
important
so
though, because
simple, though. It's not.
yeah, but this is your chance to interact with your fans and the people who watch you and the people who support you. And I thought it was just really interesting when their time was done, some would stay and not for attention because they were working. They're hustlers. All those housewives are hard ass workers. I walked away with that for
And
sure.
every time we would go to the back, I see like these little golf carts going by, and I see there goes Sutton, there goes Shannon. And it was like because the venue is so big. So when you're trying to hit your times to get to every single place, it's a little, it was, I can imagine it would be tough because they were doing panel after panel. Listen, we saw some of the schedules of these ladies. It was ridiculous. And then I had a couple of people, I took photos with everybody who asked me for a photo, but people would run up and they're like, Adam, where's Jason? And hi. And just like, talking. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so socially awkward. And Emily's like, no, this is how you engage and ask them, what part of your content do you like? And I was like, thanks, Emily. I'm
Or
going to
what
keep you
video are you
around.
watching now and what did you think about it? Or how do you
Yeah.
feel about this situation?
Oh, she can work the hell out of a room.
Oh, yeah, Emily? Yes,
Yes.
100%. But I think one of my favorite parts about Saturday was to meet the below deck people. We got invited to a below deck party, Anchor Watch. So Anchor Watch in the house. If
I
anyone's
got in
interested,
trouble.
just Anchor Watch. Why did you get in trouble?
Remember, because the we were trying to figure out the situation with grabbing a drink because they were sectioned off in this like small area.
Oh, you did get in trouble.
I was
Yes, that's
talking to
very
the
true.
DJ and she had two bottles of champagne next to her with two glasses. And I said, we should pop this. And she's like, yeah, I think it's mine. Pop it. And I was like, okay. So I go to pop it and it was reserved for Captain Jason's birthday. And so
Uh,
I'm going to pop this champagne, and literally the manager runs over and goes, "No, no, 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 no!" And it was like a $350 bottle of champagne. And I'm like, "Oh, silly me."
oh, just go to the bar and order a drink.
I was
It
like,
was funny that
"Order
night
what?"
because, Josh and I jump on for Anchor Watch on your YouTube channel every week and we talk about Below Deck and they all watch it, which is, I can't even believe that. But we met Kyle and Chef Dave and Z and a couple of other people from Below Deck. But that night, I think I looked at you, Adam, and I was like, I have to go.
No,
I'm
I looked
tired.
at you and said that.
I've hit a wall. We're done. I need sleep. I mean, at that point, I'm like, this would have been good enough. Just those 2 days. But then we had day three, and day three of BravoCon was the most exhausting, but also the most fun day, I think.
Yes. So day three, everyone's dead, right?
Dead. And
So
we're waking up at like 7 a.m. We got home so late, and my cousin and I are waking up at 7, like just trying to put ourselves together to get back to that convention center.
I didn't wake up until like 11, and
You got to sleep in. That
I
was
got to sleep in. Yeah. And I woke up and I immediately went downstairs and I had a healthy breakfast of chicken tenders.
no.
And then I came back upstairs and I reluctantly pre-recorded 3 videos to put up for you guys on the YouTube channel just to kind of keep everybody in the loop of what's going on if you didn't already know. And I felt like I was like, I took 2 days off. I need to work. But then after that, I went around 12:30 to um BravoCon to go meet up. And this time I went by myself because before Emily and I were just going together, but I knew she was busy. And Jason's sitting there with his cousin Jackie, and she's sitting there and she's like, I'm helping out, but I really want to go play. And I asked Jason, I said, can we steal Jackie and go play? And she's like, yeah. Or Jason said, yeah. And I took Jackie to the back and she's like, oh my God, there's Margaret and Dolores and Tom Schwartz. And I'm like, do you know them? And she's like, yeah, asshole, I know them. But meaning like, no. And I was like, let me introduce you. So I was introducing her to everybody and she was like a kid in a candy store, which I thought was so much fun. And then all of a sudden, I have somebody walk over to me with this thick Irish accent And he's like, I just want to say, it's nice to meet you. We talk on Instagram. And I looked and it was Paulie, Dolores's boyfriend, Paulie.
Oh,
So nice. And I said, Dolores, we met at Pump a long time ago. You probably don't remember, but I just wanted to say hi and introduce myself. And she said, I know who you are. And I want to say you have been so kind to me on YouTube. And I was like, oh, thank God. After getting my ass ripped open by like three different people, I was like, this is something positive. And we just had such a great connection. I thought that that was really incredible because it was the people who I thought like I'm an idiot running up to and I'm like, hi, and introducing myself because we've talked before. It was a few of them who were like, shit, like I don't like you. And then there are the
wait,
people
no,
who,
I want to know who those are.
okay, so
Because there was what, one or two,
so
three?
there was one from OC.
Okay.
I'm not going to say names, but there was one from OC, and she gave me
You're not
like
going to give us a lemon?
the I think you just gave yourself one with that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's there. She gave me like she just looked at me like fuck off. And I was like, oh God. And Emily tried to make me feel better. And she's like, don't you think it's because she's busy? And I was like, yeah, let's chalk it up to she's busy. And then I walk in the back and I saw Mama D Simmons there. And Mama D was like, Adam, hi. And she's like, I remember you from doing your channel. And I was like, oh my God, it's so good to meet you in person. And then she's like, Deandra, you have to meet Adam. So I shook hands and met Deandra. And she's like, you got me fined. And I was like, fucking what now? And Emily looks and she starts laughing like, God damn it, Adam. Like, what are you why? What are you doing? And she's like, because Mama D didn't get permission to do the interview, but I don't think she thought she needed to. She's not contracted by Bravo, right? And we didn't talk about Dallas. We didn't talk about Housewives. We talked
Yeah,
about
that's true. And that's true. Yeah.
yeah. And every time I do an interview, I specifically make sure not to step on Bravo's toes. So that was just another moment where I was like, shit. And then on Sunday, it was
Well,
just,
you know what? You know how I feel is right now, whoever wants Dallas back, because one of the rumors going into BravoCon, one of the announcements we thought was going to be was that the Real Housewives of Dallas were going to be announced and come back. I think maybe on Peacock streaming, something like that. Then we got word from a friend earlier who said that was not going to happen.
yeah,
And but they said keep talking about it. Like if and I think enough people talk about Dallas that actually want it back. You know, I've heard mixed reviews, but
yeah.
I would love to see like Tiffany Moon lead a cast coming in with Deandra and get some other ladies in there. I think it'd be fun.
I think it's just a matter of time. And they have so many things. They announced so much this weekend. They announced or shared the trailer for Ultimate Girls Trip season 3. Family Karma gave us the new trailer for that. I had the best time with the Family Karma crew. Bali, love her. Brian Binney. I mean, all of them just absolutely incredible. They love Jason. And then
I like to dance at their parties.
I was talking with Lisa Hochstein about Miami and the trailer and everything because that came out and she's an absolute sweetheart. And I was like, I'm so sorry for all of the shit that you're dealing with right now.
Did you
And
get
then
any consensus with the Miami ladies on how they feel about the season coming up?
she told me, she said it's wild and she said it's going to be hard to watch back. Like it's going to be for her,
Jeez.
especially because she's going through a divorce publicly. Right. And then you have it's almost like he's moving her out and moving this new girl in and she's thinking about her lifestyle, her marriage. She's talking about losing her best friend. She now has this random woman that she doesn't know potentially around her kids. Like stress the out and you're recording all of it.
Right.
So the Miami trailer came out and that was like a big deal. And then they announced the new cast of the Real Housewives of New York, which was also a big deal. So it's like,
Huge deal. And by the way, they look very like New York. I think we might have found a cast that kind of represents New York. We'd always been talking about that, but I'm just interested how they're going to do legacy because when some of these housewives were brought out, you know, into the bazaar, which is the center section with all the booths and the main stage, you had like Luann come by, Jill Zarin, Dorinda, and people were flipping out. It's like
yeah,
it's people who love the Real Housewives of New York and still want to see those ladies. I'm glad that there's going to be a platform that supports that with, you know, legacy.
yeah.
But I just wonder because there's no confirmed cast yet.
No, well,
Kind of,
Andy said that
right?
he's putting that on the back burner until they get this rolling. But the funny thing is, they introduced the new women, and the new women haven't even started filming yet. They start filming in like this fall. And then after they start filming, so they probably start filming like this month. And then they're saying that we're going to get them somewhere in 2023. But it was crazy to me that they introduced them without actually filming the season yet. So they come out holding these apples, and they're like, hello. And we're like, well, what if your
Thinking
ass
what your
gets
tagline is
demoted?
going to be.
Yeah, but what if you get demoted? Like what if you don't make
Well, if
the
they're
cut?
announcing a cast, they're not going to be demoted.
Or they could even if you're a friend of, you're still a part of the cast. Um, but no, so that the last day was sort of a wild day. Everybody was just dead. And that was the day that I ran into Kempire and I actually got to meet him. And so Kempire and we were walking around and I said to him, I was like, he's like, do you want to go to a panel or what are you doing? And we had a great conversation. And I was like, yeah, let's go like play in the back with everybody else. And he's like, huh? So then we go and we start running around. And that's when after we had Emily catch up with us and we just had the best time. It was fun to see because we got to see Chanel Ayan and Lisa Milan. I had a great conversation with Phaedra Parks. And then fast forward to the end of the night. So we went out to dinner and there was this last Watch What Happens Live party. So had tickets
Wait,
to the what?
back up to the dinner because this was also one of the most fun moments. We had really great dinners every night.
Yeah.
They were really special, all of them for all different reasons. But this night we got to have dinner with Emily, Kempire, you and me, and it was just us sitting kind of talking about the weekend. It was a chance to cool down and recuperate for like just 5 minutes.
You guys are not troopers though, because you
No,
guys were
Emily
all
and
like,
we all did.
right. Everybody was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm done. I'm tired. And I'm messaging like the housewives and I'm like, what are we doing? And they're like, watch what happens live. And I was like, okay, see you in a minute. And so I said to Emily and Jason and Kempire, I said, do you guys want to go? Kempire was like, I'm tired. You guys were both like, I've hit a wall. And I said to Jason and everybody, I said, okay, so after Watch What Happens Live, that's the party. Meet us at the after party back at the Gansevoort. And they're like, okay, so we're going to meet you at the after party. And Jason's like, you don't just like walk in last minute and think that you get a seat. And I was like, no,
Uh,
I'm doing it. So I walk in and I talked to the PA and I said, where is so and so? I'm not going to say whose name it was, but where's so and so? And they said, oh, okay, they're getting ready, and ushered me like to the front. And then I said, well, there's no seats up here. So they start putting seats in the front row for us in front of the front row, which now became the second row. And I'm just hanging out with everybody in the front row. And I'm like, this is wild. And then I'm sitting there talking to this woman and she said, hi, I'm Jason Sudeikis' mom. And I'm like,
what the hell?
of course you are. And then, we got to watch Watch What Happens Live and it was fun. There were like catty moments and stuff,
There
of
were
course.
great moments that night.
It was
Great
the
moments.
Shade Assassins panel. So there's going to be, and then we start leaving and everybody's getting ushered into these Sprinter vans again, right? Same place, Manhattan Theater, back to the Gansevoort. And I get ushered into this van and all of a sudden I look and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting next to Dr. Heavenly from Married to Medicine. Brandi Glanville's right in front of me. Phaedra's right next to her. And I'm like, what is this? What is this life? And Jason and Emily were at the hotel already waiting, like hanging out, and people started coming in. And then I don't want to, of course, because now at this point, you make these relationships with everyone. But we were just hanging out at a table and it was like 10 housewives just
10
having
housewives talking about nothing to do with housewives.
nothing.
We ordered pizza, or somebody ordered pizza for everyone, which was a great idea. We had so much fun.
Yeah.
And just completely exhausted. When you said you were going there, Emily and I were like, we need to refresh. We need to rally. I don't know how we're
It's the last night.
It's the last night. And we actually kind of got in a funny way too. We just kind of waltzed in. So that was
I thought it was so funny because when our Sprinter van arrived, Brandi said, she looked at Phaedra and she's like, girl, we're going to Catch. And she's like, I thought we were going to the rooftop. She's like, no, we'll go there after. We're going to Catch. And so they end up going and there's lines of people and they're like, wah, and like paparazzi and fans because they all know that everyone's staying at the Gansevoort. And I get out and they're all like flashing and they look and it's like, oh. Like, it's like that's not who we were looking for. And I was like, I don't fucking care. I just want to get up to the top. So then I'm walking around, and that's when we were sitting there and we were talking with O'Malley.
Oh yeah, O'Malley
Yeah,
from Family Karma. Yeah.
Bali's guy. And then sat there talking with Brandy, and Brandy, I forgot what she asked me. She's like, "Do can you?" I forgot what it was. She's like, "Are you to be trusted? Are you not to be
Oh, she
trusted?"
said, "You have eyes that I don't trust." That's what she said. And then you told her, "Well, no one trusts you, so who cares?"
Yeah, but we were just, it was funny, joking banter.
Yeah.
And we actually had a great conversation, a great time. And I said, I have been dying to get you on the channel. And I thought she was so sweet. She was really sweet. I've met Brandy before in the past, though, when I was working at Sir. It was
Yeah,
just
of
like, who
course.
was I at the time? I was a host. I mean, who am I now? But I'm just saying, like, I didn't have the opportunity to really walk up to her, you know? And then we were just going around and having these different conversations. And again, just not to give away too much, but just a fun way to end off the night. And we ended up closing down the place with everybody, paying the bill, watching a couple people get kicked out, and then we left and we went
And then
home
left.
and
And
we
we
woke up.
tried to sleep.
Yeah, we
And
tried to
I woke
sleep.
up and I think I was still definitely intoxicated, maybe, possibly, not sure, allegedly. But I woke up and I was like looking at our disaster of a room. How the hell am I going to pack all this? But listen, before we get into things, I do want to let people know what BravoCon is like kind of day by day. Like if you're going to go to BravoCon, you definitely want to be there more than one day.
Yeah.
For sure. I think the first day, as early as you can get, is a great time to be there. Saturday is the biggest day. They do like a fun panel on Friday, but Saturday is like a big, busy day. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
But then on the third day, come as late as possible. And there's like the last 30 to 45 minutes of the hour when people still have merch at their booths and stuff like that. We sold out of everything at Caroline's booth. I mean, I'm wearing a shirt right now, Horrible Human. Horrible human. You're
And
a horrible human.
it's,
Sergio
and
calls Caroline.
it honestly, and two, I want to say this really quick,
But wait,
just
wait.
because,
But
oh,
they start discounting merch like by more than half. So if you are there on that day, I don't know if they would do it next year, but some of them it costs so much to ship merch everywhere, and you really don't know what if you're going to sell out like the first 2 days or the third day you're going to have too much. But it's definitely worth the wander for sure. That's just a little inside secret info for you guys if you want to save a buck on some merch or get some freebie handouts from like Tresemme
yeah,
or
oh my gosh,
you know,
I went to town at Tresemme.
you went to
Um,
town.
I don't know why, because I don't even think we brought any
We
of it
couldn't even
back.
we couldn't even pack it. Our bags were so full. We were like definitely over in our luggage.
It was Jason asked me, he's like, go get me avocado toast and a coffee, and I'm gonna pack. I need you out of this room. And I was like, okay, bye. Because I looked at it and I was like, hurricane something has hit this
Yeah.
room. Everything was scattered everywhere. Jason and I way overpacked. We had like 15 pairs of shoes with us, all these outfits, which I think only wore like 3 outfits the whole
There
time.
was no time to change. It
There
was like
was
you
no,
just had to go. It is an exhausting weekend. An exhausting weekend.
it was. And with that, like just the whole experience, would I recommend it? Yes, absolutely. Did we make incredible connections? 100%. Some of my favorite memories, getting to meet content creators that I wouldn't necessarily have got to meet in person, and just getting to play was just, I was here for it. I thought it was so much fun. So 10 out of 10, I would recommend doing BravoCon. And I know for those of you listening, it doesn't matter. But for those of you who are watching YouTube, we had no chance to do anything while we were there other than BravoCon. I didn't even charge my camera. And so when it dies on you here in 30 seconds, I just want to say, I love you guys with my face on it. And then I'll just be audio. I won't be a floating head.
Do you know what my biggest takeaway of Real Housewives, or sorry, Real Housewives of BravoCon was?
What?
Giselle Bryant is so fucking gorgeous.
She is stunning. Oh my
Like, holy
gosh.
shit.
I got to introduce you to Drew.
Oh yeah, I met Drew Sidora. Who
Yeah.
else did I meet? Larsa. I met so many different people than you, and you have still more stories to tell me from what happened. Vice versa as well. I spent most of my time, at the booth or with Caroline or something, and this was just. I know we're gonna sound so repetitive on this podcast, but it was just an amazing experience for
And
sure.
you know what was funny about this too? There goes the camera.
There goes your
Um,
camera.
there goes. I'm okay with that. You know what was funny about this too? There was another favorite moment that I had because I ran into Ramona, and James Kennedy and I were in the bathroom, and all of a sudden we're in the bathroom and you see somebody like coming out and they're like, excuse me, get out of the way, excuse me. And I'm like, what the is happening right now? What is this?
Wasn't
Like,
she was in the men's room, right?
yes, she was just, I think she just had to use the restroom. But, and it was, to be fair, it was a private party. So it's, everybody was safe in that space. That's why they had everybody on the eighth floor. It wasn't like there weren't fans there, you know, like even though I'm still a fan of some of these people, like it's not, I'm not running up like, take a photo with me, you know, because it was when you watch people get ushered through, you see so many people yanking at them, crying, screaming, pushing. That's why, like,
it's complete pandemonium. Like, it's insane to see. And we talked about this on an earlier podcast that like housewives nowadays are literally like A-list celebrities. And I'm not saying like the art of, you know, acting or whatever, but people go insane for housewives now. Even we talked about on the podcast with Evan Reel from Page Six that housewives are the biggest drive of Page Six. It's the most traffic they get are on housewives. You have A-list celebrities like Jennifer Lawrence, like Anthony Hopkins, like John Hamm, like people who watch these shows. It's just insane to me that it has grown so big. It's like a mini little Hollywood in its own way.
I just, for me, I was like, this is, again, we are repetitive at this point, but I'm like, this is just, I'm blown away.
Well, I'm glad your camera died because I'm super exhausted. I definitely have circles around my eyes. I can't wait to recoup and relax. But guys, we will be back on Friday with an amazing guest. And we have a full lineup coming up on the podcast. So I'm glad if you are listening, go ahead and follow us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you get your shows. And with that, Adam, I think it's time to I feel bad going to happy hour since I feel like I had an IV of alcohol in my arm.
I think, you know,
trip.
this is, listen,
but should we get food?
We need to get food because this normally we talk about a little bit of pop culture. We have some interviews and then we do a good bitch session. I don't have anything to bitch
we
about.
We just needed to recap this trip. We really did.
I feel grateful. I feel so blessed and inspired to have the opportunities and be able to make these connections and just the memories that we'll have forever. I haven't even looked at my camera roll yet, but yes, Jason, I think it's time we get some food. So for all of you guys listening, we hope that you enjoyed our BravoCon stories and do us a favor. I've had some people message me and they're like, you want us to rate the podcast? Do we have to pay for that? I'm like, no, the beauty of this is it is free. So drop us a rating. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you love about the podcast because we're here to play with you guys and we're so grateful for you. So thank you.
So grateful. And like us, we always say, if you want to be part of the conversation, you want to ask us questions, or there's something you want us to talk about, send us an email at info@hotmessypodcast.com. We've received some of them, and we do have some of the guests you've requested coming up. So please reach out. We love it. And we also have a visual youtube.com/hotmessypodcast. This episode, we're actually going to put fully up on YouTube and maybe a few interviews coming up. We're going to drop as well, instead of just clips as well. So go ahead and subscribe to us there if you want more information. And we will see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
Friday.
Oh, Friday. Yes, Friday. Just kidding. We love you guys. We need sleep.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.